If you had the chance to do it over, most of you would live by a different set of principles. You'd save more, give more, invest more, and spend much, much less. You don't have the benefit of a time machine. You can't undo the past, but you can approach the future with a different mindset and a changed perspective on money. That's what this series is about. 3 words that will change your financial life and give you a completely different way to live. My focus is not you need to give a lot of money to the church, or you need to give more money to the church. That'd be great. That's not what this is about. I would challenge you to realign your priorities and reorder your financial life by following these 3 simple principles. It'll change your future. And I want you to teach your kids a different way. I want them to avoid crushing debt and horrible mistakes. I want them to position their lives financially where they can say, yes, Lord, to whatever He asks, and they're ready for immediate obedience. 2 weeks ago, we learned the first word, obey. Obedience is the foundation of a solid financial strategy. If you get that wrong, then you're going alone without God's help or blessing. We looked a few moments ago at Malachi 3. I want to read it to you again with a little different perspective because I want to read it from the Message. Here's how the Message says it. You have a long history of ignoring my commands. You haven't done a thing I've told you. Return to me so I can return to you, says God of the angel armies. And you ask, how do we return? Begin by being honest. Do honest people rob God? You rob me day after day. And you ask, how do we rob you? The tithe and the offering, that's how. And now you're under a curse, the whole lot of you, because you're robbing me. Bring your full tithe into the temple treasury, so there will be ample provisions in my temple. Test me in this. See if I don't open up heaven and pour out blessings beyond your wildest dreams. If you want to live according to God's system, following His plan, the starting place is to tithe. Give God the first 10%. Obey. Then last week we looked at the second word, pay. Only spend what you make. In fact, spend less than you make. Avoid high-interest, future-crippling credit card debt. Don't spend tomorrow's money paying for yesterday's poor decisions. Proverbs 22 says, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Cindy and I will celebrate our 35th wedding anniversary, June 13th this year. Isn't that a great picture? The hair. I was 15 when we got married. 35 years is a long time. I've been saving money for her gift. Now, I have absolutely no idea what it's going to be, but I've been saving money for it. I hope she's been saving money for my gift. I mean, she's had 35 years to save. I expect something amazing. I don't know what I'm going to get her, and I'm not asking for your advice because your ideas never work. But I promise you this, when I give her that giant stuffed Tyrannosaurus Rex, it'll be hers. She will own it, not MasterCard or Visa or American Express. And I'll pay for it once, not 3 or 4 times with interest. These principles are all important. The order is also important. You have to start with obey, or your strategy won't have God's blessing. Pay comes next. No financial strategy works if you continue to accumulate debt. Now, the third word, the final word, you're not going to like. This also might be a challenge for your children. They understand obey, putting God first. They understand pay because they take math in school. The numbers make sense. This third word and concept isn't popular, but this is the huge key to you being financially free. The third word is delay. The dictionary definition of delay is to put off to a later time, to defer, to postpone. No one likes to delay. But if you apply this principle, it will radically alter your financial future, I promise. I challenge you to delay 3 things. Number 1, delay the purchase. Instead of taking out your Visa card, charging that purchase, delay it until you have enough money to pay cash for it. You've lived without it this long, live without it a little longer until you have the money. And often you'll find when you wait to save the cash, when the time comes, you won't want that thing anyway. One announcer on ESPN radio gave his grid, his 3 questions he asked before a major purchase. He asked, do I love it? Do I need it? Is it a good deal? And he'll only buy it if the answer is yes to 2 of the 3. Well, that's a good grid, but he missed one. Here's what the grid should be. Do I love it? Do I need it? Is it a good deal? Can I pay cash for it? And if the answer to those questions are yes, then go ahead. If you can't, delay. Many of you are still paying for things you no longer need that you bought to impress people you no longer like. Delay. Wait. When Tyler and Parker were younger, we wanted a bigger TV to play video games. We didn't immediately go buy it. Instead, we saved money. We delayed. Waiting can be boring, but we studied. We made it fun. We went to stores. We looked at dozens of TVs. We read research. We saved our money for over a year. Now, it's true. We didn't have the big TV the day we wanted it. But when we bought the TV, we took $100 bills to Best Buy. And here's the great thing. We bought a TV that cost more than we had. The sales guy came out and we said, we want that TV, but we don't have that much money. He said, well, it doesn't work that way. We said, get the manager. And he came out and we said, we really want that $1,100 TV, but we've been saving for a year and we only have $800. But we can buy it with these $100 bills. We'll give it to you right now if we can have the TV. They took the deal. The boys loved the huge TV. I loved the fact it was paid for. It was worth the wait. One of the biggest benefits to delay is you avoid impulse buying. You're not buying things now on credit that you quickly figure out you don't want or need. Delay. I laugh when I see those commercials that say the next 15 callers will get an extra bonus, or call in the next 30 minutes for the special deal. Let me help you understand. They recorded that commercial months ago, and that commercial is airing in different stations, in different markets, with different time zones. They have no idea when it airs. Whenever you call, that's the deal. If you don't believe me, try it. Wait 40 minutes. And call and say, boy, I know I missed the deadline. What's the deal now? They won't know what you're talking about. The same deal is still there. Trust me, it's always there. They say call now because they know if you delay, you might not buy it. They want to create a sense of urgency so you'll act without thinking or playing. I got to get that now. What a deal. That's the same reason why they want you to sign up for a loyalty program or sign up for their app, so they can send you emails and notifications that remind you how much you like their stuff and get you to immediately buy it without thinking about it. Turn off the app notifications. Unsubscribe from the emails. Don't fall for that trap. Wait, delay. And while you're delaying, here's the key: save the money. There are a lot of different ways to teach your kids this principle. Here's what we did with Tyler and Parker. We didn't spend a lot of money at Christmas and birthdays. Some years, we didn't spend any. We didn't have to because their grandparents were out of control. And now I am an out-of-control grandparent, and I love it. We also didn't do the contest people have, my kid's birthday party is better than your kid's birthday party. We're going to impress you. We didn't do that. Each of our boys, from the time they were born until they turned 18, got one big birthday party with their friends. One. But for years, with all the money we didn't spend on presents and parties, we funded an investment account for them that they couldn't have until they graduated college or they turned 25. And along the way, if they put money in the investment account, we matched it. So if you gave Tyler $50 for his birthday, most of the time he put that in the account. I matched it. When they graduated college, their graduation present from us was their investment account. Every birthday present, Christmas present, and party that they didn't get for 21 years. Yeah, There were times they wanted a party or money, but as they got older and closer to graduation, they learned there's a payoff when you delay. It's never too early to teach your children this principle, but it's hard for them to learn it if you won't live it. Delay the purchase. Number 2, delay the upgrade. Advertising tells you to upgrade your computer, your cell phone, your car, your house, your golf clubs, your iPad, your iPhones. There's always something newer and better you just have to have. Upgrading is all about, I was happy with what I had until you told me what I didn't have. I loved my car until I saw that other car. My new car is still the same car I loved. The problem is, I've seen something different. As I think about it, some of you have approached marriage that way. That upgrade didn't work out, did it? My cell phone was just fine, but look at the camera on this new one, 40 megapixels. I don't know what megapixels are, but 40 has to be better than 30. I gotta have some more megapixels. Delay. Here's what makes it a powerful principle. On major purchases, like a car or a house, as you delay the upgrade, bank the difference. Bank the difference between what you're paying now and what the new one will cost. Cindy and I lived in our first house for over 15 years. We could have upgraded sooner. We could afford it. But we delayed. And while we did, we figured out what the payment would be on the house we wanted, and we banked the difference between the payment on the house we had and the payment on the house we wanted for 5 years. There were times we wanted to quit delaying and just go for it. But then we looked what could happen if we kept delaying and the down payment we could eventually have. I didn't own my first new car until I was 35 years old. For 19 years, I drove used cars, hand-me-downs, and clunkers. Now, I loved looking at new cars. I read the magazines. I went to the dealers. I test drove cars and imagined that I had them. They'd be great to own, but I loved paying for the Rodmobiles. And some of you have seen my whole list. I started with a 1968 Pontiac Catalina. Fine ride right there. Black interior, no air conditioning, deep in the heart of Texas. I drove it for 4 years. When I was done, I sold it for a $100 bill and felt guilty. After that, I drove a succession of used cars. My favorite was a 1988 Honda Civic that I drove until the year 2000. I skipped the decade of the 90s. I never impressed anyone with my cars, but I also wasn't in bondage to them. Hailstorms didn't bother me. Matter of fact, a hailstorm would have doubled the value of my car. Door dings, no problem. My favorite story with my Honda, I used to, because I have a bad habit, I'd lose my keys. And so when I go somewhere, I just leave the car unlocked and the keys in the ignition. And then I'd always know where they were. And so one day I was at the golf course, I went and played golf, and I came back and the door was open of my car. Keys in the ignition, door open, and someone had stolen my gas money out of the console and left the car. What in the world? All the while, I was driving that 88 Civic, I was saving the difference. Now, I didn't look cool driving that Civic for the whole decade of the 90s. But I bought it used, only financed it 3 years, and for the other 9 years, made a car payment myself. If you'll do that, made a car payment myself, $300 a month. And at the end of those years driving that old car, do you know how much I'd saved? $28,800 without the interest. I was able to pay cash for Tyler's first car with the money I saved by not upgrading mine. Every once in a while, somebody say, well, I don't think a pastor should drive a nice new truck. Where were you when I was driving that Civic for 12 years? When I was saving money instead of making payments. Or they'll say, well, I don't think you should have a nice big house. Yeah, you weren't there for the 15 years in the other one. See, you're mistaken if you look at what I have and you don't consider how I delayed. The key to delay is to bank the difference as you delay. It's not just waiting to be waiting. It's strategic to make your financial future secure. By now, you're starting to figure it out. Well, I was living in the old house, driving the old car, and talking on the old phone. I was saving the difference and building my future. If you exercise discipline and do that, then by the time you're my age, you can buy what you want. Now, this third thing is the biggest key of all. If you tune me out, tune back in. Because if you do this, one day you'll have more money than you thought was possible. Students, listen to me. Because if you'll do this one, by the time you're my age, you'll have more than $1 million. Listen to me. Delay the purchase, delay the upgrade, but here's the secret sauce. Delay the raise. Starting with your next raise, delay every raise. When you get a raise, delay it for 1 year, take the money. But instead of changing your budget, your lifestyle, save the raise. And then do that every year. The principle works regardless of the numbers. Let me show you how it works. I'll show you based on a young couple that I worked with. I'll use their numbers, okay? So let's say you've got an entry-level position. You're making a little more than minimum wage, not a lot more. You're making $30,000 a year, okay? And in our current economy, that's enough to buy groceries, okay? It's tight, but you can still buy milk and bread next time it snows, okay? The next year, you get a raise to $35,000. Don't take it. Bank it. Pay the tithe on the difference, $5,000 raise. It's $500 more in tithe. Save, invest the other $4,500. Okay? At the end of the year, you got $4,500 in the bank, and you're just living one more year on the $30,000 salary. The next year, you get a $3,000 raise from $35,000 to $38,000. $3,000 raise. Pay the tithe on the difference, $300. Invest or save the rest, $2,700, and give yourself last year's raise. Now you're going to live on 35, even though you're making 38. At the end of 2 years, you've saved $7,200. The next year, you get a big promotion, $50,000. Big money. What most people do then is they go out and buy a Corvette. Not you, because you have a plan. That's a $12,000 raise. You're going to pay tithe on the difference, $1,200. You're going to bank the rest. And that year, you're going to save, invest $10,800. And you're going to give yourself the raise to $38,000. You're just living 1 year behind your raises. After 3 years, how much money do you have in the bank? $18,500, almost 20 grand. Delay your raise by 1 year. For the rest of your life, always live off last year's salary. Delay the raise. Those numbers might seem big to you. It also works in smaller amounts. If you're making $20,000, less than minimum wage, you get a raise to $22,000, pay the tithe, bank the raise. At the end of the year, you'll have $1,800 in the bank. What's really great is you're only really delaying for 1 year. After that, every year you get a raise, you're taking last year's raise. You're just living 1 year behind your raises. If you get reviewed every 6 months, same thing. Always live financially 1 raise behind. You say, Rod, that is unrealistic. Who would do that? Who would really do that? I've been doing that for 38 years. First, it didn't seem like much. First raise was 50 cents an hour, $20 a week, $1,000 that year. The tithe was $100. I banked $900, invested it. I can tell you after 38 years of doing it, it's incredibly freeing. This isn't a theory. This is how I live. I'm always 1 year behind with my income, but a lifetime ahead with my savings. Instead of taking your raise, delay it for a year. This is a biblical principle. Proverbs says, he who gathers money little by little makes it grow. My last raise was 5 years ago. No, it was a good raise. And now at this stage of our life, we're able to approach it different. Instead of saving the raise, for 5 years, we've given that entire raise back. And we're able to give a bigger percentage of our income. It's fun. Now, before we go, I got to show you what really makes it amazing. Okay, if you delay the raise and you invest the money, I want to show you how it works. In the stock market over the last 40 years, if you put it in and leave it in, and you're fairly safe and wise, you can get an annual return of about 6%. That's kind of conservative. Some years it's up, like last year, you got 25%, but 2 years ago, not so good. So the average is 6%. Let's say by the age 22, using my theory, you're able to save, at age 22, with my theory, you're able to save $10,000. Okay? That's realistic using my theory. 6%. At 6%, that amount doubles every 12 years. You invest that. When you're 34, that amount is $20,000. When you're 46, that amount is $40,000. Now watch what happens. When you're 58, that amount is $80,000. And when you hit retirement age of 70, that amount is $160,000. That's if you never put another dime in. If all you had saved was that $10,000 and you did that, you'd have $160,000. But that's not what you're doing. Every year you're saving your raise. And so all that keeps multiplying and growing. It works. If you're really disciplined, 36 years from now, your money is worth 8 times what you invested. That's where Cindy and I are now. We've been doing this 38 years. The original saved raise is now worth more than 8 times what it was when we started. See, if you'll do the basic math, you'll realize this is the key to financial security, and this is the key to being able to do much more for the kingdom, and this is generational. We're not just doing this. We've taught our sons to do this, and they'll teach their kids to do this. Some of you are living in a family that's had a cycle of poverty for generation after generation. You can break the cycle. All you have to do is delay your raise for 1 year. For the rest of your life, live 1 year behind your income. So here's my question. What could you delay? What do you really want, but you could wait to have? Delay the raise, delay the purchase, delay the upgrade, wait, sacrifice, and get it later. To which you say, I don't want to wait. I want it now. The Bible talks about you. Proverbs 25, like a city whose walls are broken down is a man who lacks self-control. It takes self-control to wait. Without self-control, you have no defense. It's just the whim of the moment. Going with your emotion, what you must have and you can't wait. You say, but Pastor Rod, it's not fun to wait. I understand, but how much fun is it paying on something you don't even have anymore? Learn to wait. And you say, good financial talk. Oh, but you know what? This is not just about money. Now watch. Why do people mess up their lives sexually? They're just not willing to wait till marriage. God says, wait. I know you want it now, but if you wait, things will be so much better. If you wait, you'll avoid pain and heartache. If you wait, you'll avoid this long string of dysfunctional, unhealthy relationships if you'll just wait. Why do people make horrible decisions about their life and their career? They're not willing to wait on God's timing. They're in too big a hurry. How much better would your life be if you learned the principle of delayed gratification? If you just learned to control your desires and wait. Proverbs chapter 21 says, careful planning puts you ahead in the long run. Hurry and scurry puts you further behind. People marry people they shouldn't marry. They get in relationships they shouldn't be in. They move to cities they shouldn't move to. They take jobs they shouldn't take. They get in careers they shouldn't be in, all because they're in a hurry and they want to have it now. Wait. And here's why that sounds difficult. Now, this is tough, but here's why that sounds difficult to you. We trust God, but we don't always trust His timing. God, I believe You'll bless me. I believe You'll take care of that. But I want it now. And God says, wait, and you rush ahead of God, and then you wonder why your life's a shambles. Wait. It'll change your life financially, but it'll change your life in so many other areas. Trust Him. Trust His plan. Listen, God has good plans for you. He has good plans for your future. He has good plans for your marriage. He has good plans for your future spouse. He's got good plans for your finances. He has good plans for you. Trust Him and trust His timing.